Why naturalistic origin of life is impossible. In this video, we show that naturalistic origin of life, abiogenesis, is impossible. Scientist quote, "The probability of life originating on Earth is no greater than the chance that a hurricane sweeping through a scrapyard would have the luck to assemble a Boeing 747. Dr. Fred Hoyle, atheist scientist and mathematician, quote, "A junkyard contains all the bits and pieces of a Boeing 747, dismembered and in disarray. A whirlwind happens to blow through the yard. What is the chance that after its passage a fully assembled 747 ready to fly will be found standing there?" Dr. Fred Hoyle. My comment. Dr. Hoyle stated that the probability of first life arising by naturalistic means, on Earth, is similar to that of a hurricane assembling a functioning 747 jumbo jet out of a junkyard, i.e., the probability is 0. Here is another estimate. Quote, "A colleague of mine worked out that a yeast cell and a 777 airplane have the same number of parts, the same level of complexity." Dr. Elliot Meyerowitz, scientist, professor of biology, Caltech. Note, as far as we know, Dr. Meyerowitz does believe in evolution, but his statement is representative of the complexity of a single cell. My comment, a simple bacterium has 1 million protein molecules and 6 million total molecules. Each of these plays a part in the bacterium, so simple living cells are extremely complex. The simplest self-reproducing entity, self-replicator needed for first life, is also extremely complex, and more so than random chance or natural law can create. See below. In this video, we show that naturalistic formation of first life is completely impossible. Note, in naturalistic evolution, natural selection can take over only after a first self-replicator that can reproduce itself with accuracy has been established. There is no natural law that can create such a self-replicator. That leaves only random chance assembly of molecules to create the first self-replicator, without which naturalistic origin of life is impossible. First life. The scientific literature indicates that the simplest self-replicator requires a minimum of 250 proteins. A total of 500 amino acids have been identified in nature, so, including chirality, our raw materials are a possible 1,000 different amino acids in nature. Each essential protein is 320 to 400 amino acids long, with 40% to 70% of critical sequence functionality. So, we need 130 amino acids of critical functional sequence per protein. Probability of forming a peptide bond between two amino acids in water in a prebiotic soup is 4 times 10 to the power of -5. So, we need 2.54 attempts in water before we form a peptide bond between two amino acids. So, the probability of random chance events, e.g. water movements in a prebiotic soup, bringing together the correct amino acids in the right sequence and making a peptide bond between the two correct amino acids for one correct protein is 1 part in 1,000 times 2.54 to the power of 130 equals 1 part in 5 times 10 to the power of 961. Therefore, we need 5 times 10 to the power of 961 attempts before we get one correct sequence. Odds of choosing 250 correct proteins for the minimum self-replicator equals 1 part in 5 times 10 to the power of 961 to the power of 250. That is, 10 to the power of 240, 424. Math shows that this is empirically impossible. The entire universe has the material resources for only 10 to the power of 120 chemical assembly events. That universe resource number is basically 0 compared to the number above. Conclusion. Math and logic show that naturalistic origin of life, abiogenesis, is impossible. Note, amino acids are believed, by evolution believers, to have been present in a prebiotic soup or in water at a hydrothermal vent. Water can move the amino acids into close proximity to each other. If the amino acids are in a dry, sun-exposed environment, sunlight degrades the amino acids, and a dry environment cannot move the amino acids around to cause them to join up in different ways to create proteins. So, the amino acids have to be in a watery solution, e.g. the prebiotic soup. However, amino acids need the formation of peptide bonds to link up the amino acids to form proteins. This is a condensation reaction. In a watery environment, the condensation reaction causes hydrolysis, breaking of the peptide bond, rather than synthesis of the peptide bond. So, this would prevent formation of proteins. The forward reaction is unfavorable due to the presence of water. Therefore, using a Boltzmann distribution, the probability of formation of a peptide bond between two amino acids is calculated to be 4 times 10 to the power of -5 in water. That means that you have to make 25,000 attempts to be able to create one successful peptide bond in water. This adds to the impossibility of creating the first self-replicator. Conclusion: math and logic show that naturalistic origin of life, abiogenesis, is impossible. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.